Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. I have something very exciting to share with you today. Recently, I was contacted by a company called Eldritch Foundry. This is a company that makes bespoke miniatures for people who want to create an exciting character for games like Dungeons & Dragons. The idea is you go to their online tool, which has a very comprehensive suite of customizable options for creating a character that matches exactly what you want to be in your game. And Eldritch Foundry asked if I would like to create some characters to share with you on the channel. I obviously jumped at the chance and I said that I would like to create 4. I would like to create my entire family in miniature. That's me, my wife and my 2 children. So in this video I'm going to show you exactly how easy it is to create a character using the Eldritch Foundry online system. And then I will show you the 4 characters that I created for myself. In advance, I would like to thank Eldritch Foundry for reaching out and asking me to take a look at their products on the channel. And if while you're watching this you think to yourself, this looks really cool, I'd like to give this a go, you can find a link in the video description to hop across to the Eldritch Foundry website to see what you can come up with. When you head to the Eldritch Foundry website, this is what you're presented with, and I think anybody who has played a video game with a character creation system will feel quite comfortable with the layout here. You have your character on the right, you have your options on the left. You can zoom in to get a closer look at your character's face, or zoom out to see the whole body. We're going to name our character, let's call our character Dag Nabbit. And with a name like that, I think we will probably end up selecting a goblin. But you can see we have all the different characters here. You have half-elves, elves, orcs, furbolgs, humans, halflings, Goliaths, half-orcs, goblins, warghasts, demonborn, dwarves, avatars, which are basically dragonborn, and quits, which are your tabaxi catfolk. Let's make a goblin. So here we have our goblin in his fancy pants and vest. And from this body section we can also make some adjustments to our character. You can see here we can adjust different things, like the size of his head. You can see that some of these components are linked together, like you have the left and right pectoral muscles. You can unlink those, so you can adjust them separately if you want to. Or you can keep them linked so that everything grows or shrinks in scale. I think our goblin should have a bit of a paunch. Let's make him Grom the Paunch of the Misty Mountains. So we're going to boost up his tummy there and thicken his waist. And you can see that you can pull the character around, see it from every angle to make sure you're happy with what you've got. There are options for tails. You could give your goblin a fancy tail if you want. But I don't think that suits our goblin. If you want to remove anything, you can just go over to the side. A little dustbin icon appears, you can remove that. And you can even give your character some wings. Our goblin might like some nice Doom Diver wings, why not? Okay, so we have a selection of horns, but we don't want to give our goblin horns. But you can see that you can customize things within races. You can start with a, for example, elf body type, but then add horns and things to make it more demonic. We have a nice selection of hair. We could give our goblin some Geralt hair. Or maybe not. That's not a good look. Let's make him an angry goblin. Let's give him some fiery hair. There we go, that's better. But there's plenty of different preset hairstyles. And it's not all fantasy stuff, there's future stuff in there as well. So you can create a character for fantasy settings, science fiction settings, or present day settings, whatever you want. You can add extra details. Here we go, let's add some eyebrows that are in keeping with the hair we've selected. We're going to move on to actual facial expressions. You have a happy meter and an angry meter. You can make him very happy, you can make him very angry, or you can mix and match for a happy, angry smile. That looks suitably evil. And then there's lots of other options for adjusting exactly how your character's face looks. You can open and close the mouth, adjust the line of the jaw. A huge level of customization. There's literally trillions of options here on this system to make sure you can create a character that matches up with exactly what you want. But let's move on to giving our goblins some proper clothes. You can see here when you select the clothing option, you get a lot of preset options. These are complete sets, so you can instantly dress your character. We can zoom out a little bit so we can see him in all his glory there. But you don't have to go for these preset options if you don't want to. You can see on the left there that the outfits are broken down into subsections as well, so you can change out the helmets, make a little pumpkin jack. And you can change the pauldrons, the chest guards, every individual component to make it something that is more in keeping with what you envisioned. But let's just go with a preset for our character here. Let's just find a nice suit of armor for him. There we go. Moving on. It's time to deal with the hands and the weapons. And this is a recent addition. This wasn't available when I selected my characters, but they have just added hand shapes. You can see you can select different positioning of the fingers for each hand. So you can have open hands, closed hands, Spock hands, and a sneaky goblin should always be crossing his fingers. We can work with that. But of course also in this tab you have the weapon options. What do we want to give our goblin? We want to give him something suitably hitty. Maybe an axe. No, not hitty enough. That's hitty enough. But of course there's not just melee weapons, we have all sorts of other weapons. We have ranged weapons. Why don't we make our goblin an archer? Let's give him something shooty. Ooh, crossbows. I do like a crossbow. Now we're talking. Now he's looking cool. But there's lots of different weapon options you can go through, and there are also magic options as well. There are magical weapons and also magical effects. So you can have trees and smoke growing out of the palms of your character's hands. There are backpack items. So if you want to, you can give your character a big sword strapped to his back. Or you can also have a shield on the back, which is quite cool. I like that a lot. But again, I've got an idea for this miniature that will require a bit of space around the back, so we're going to remove that shield for now. Moving on, we have side arms and other little components, so you can add backpacks, little medi kits, knives. Every goblin should have a sneaky knife. And then you can select the pose. There are a number of preset poses. You can just select those and the character will reshape accordingly. That's a dynamic pose. So these are available if you don't want to go through the effort of reposing your character. I like that one. We'll use that as our base, but we are now going to repose the character because we have those options available. You can reposition everything: the head, the neck, the arms and legs. And you can see that when you select these things, a little skeleton appears. You can see the armatures, and you have these different slider bars. And as you pull those slider bars in and out, the figure adjusts accordingly. This can take a little bit of practice, takes a little bit of getting used to. But once you master it, you can really get some interesting positioning with your characters. When I was playing with it, I made a lion character that was actually reaching into a quiver of arrows on his back. But what we're going to do here with our sneaky goblin is reposition his arms so his crossed fingers are behind his back. When you're doing this, you have to be careful not to make the model clip into itself. You can see here the hand has actually gone into the body of the goblin, but keep readjusting it and twisting it. And there we go. We have a sneaky goblin with his fingers crossed behind his back. Of course I'm not going to shoot you. Who do you think I am? All we need to do now is add a base. You can choose between round, square and hexagonal bases. There's a different set of textures. My favourite is the cobblestone texture, but there's other things like cracked earth, magic circles, and you can also add other little elements to the base as well. There's a tab to add things like skulls, candles, gravestones, and other things like that. But I'm not going to add that because I think that goblin looks absolutely fine as he is. A super sneaky, shooty, angry goblin, made in under 12 minutes. Once you've completed your design, you have a choice. You can either purchase a printed miniature for $29, or you can purchase the STL file for $3.99 and print the miniature yourself. I don't have a 3D printer, so I selected to have the miniatures printed for me, and this is how they arrive. Each miniature came in one of these lovely metal tins with the Eldritch Foundry logo on the top there, and thrown in with the 4 tins was this fancy D20. I think you get 1 D20 with every order you place. When you dive into the tin, each of your miniatures is really carefully bubble wrapped. I've already removed the bubble wrap from this particular character, and you also get 2 pieces of foam insert so that you can keep your miniatures safe in between games. And this is how they arrive. This is actually the miniature that I created for my daughter. We will have a closer look at all of the miniatures in a moment. These are produced on polyjet resin printers at 32 microns. So the detail is good and they're pretty sturdy. They're not too brittle or anything. But in this black, I think it's a little bit difficult to see all of the detailing. So I'm going to very quickly spray these miniatures so we can see those details come out. The aim with these miniatures was to capture a little bit of the appearance of my family, but really a lot of their character. This is the miniature that we created for my daughter. She is, of course, my little princess, and she wanted to be a fairy princess. She helped me design this character. She picked out the butterfly wings. We made her a magic user. My daughter loves nature, so this particular magic user is summoning a plant on the palm of her hand. And she has her little pixie boots, and this just basically sums up my daughter's magical, whimsical personality. And I love this miniature. It's fantastic. Next up, we have my little boy. He is a naughty imp. I asked him for his input on this particular character. He said he wanted bat wings, and I thought that worked out nicely because I was intending to make him a naughty little imp anyway. He has a great big hitting stick because he does tend to try and hit me with things when I'm not paying attention. But I gave him a naughty, cheeky smile, and he has adventurous clothing on because my little boy is a very adventurous little man. Next up we have my wife, and yes, she is a demon, but I should make it clear this was her design. She had full creative control over what I did with this miniature. Part of the reasoning behind this design is because my wife does a lot of TikToking, and in some of her videos she creates characters like demonic entities. She wears crazy contact lenses and does different makeup tutorials. So this was an attempt to create her TikTok character in a 28mm scale. Again, we made her a magic user because she does love magic and fantasy, and we gave her a cape because who doesn't like a cape? And finally we have me. My last name is Outlaw, and I have a love for westerns which I got from my father, and so obviously I created myself as a cowboy, as a gunslinger. I gave myself twin revolvers, I gave myself a nice duster jacket, which is quite similar to a jacket I actually own. I managed to get the hair and the beard pretty much how mine looks when I actually make the effort to comb it. And I'm very happy with how this one turned out. I think it's a fantastic miniature, and it is nice to immortalise my family name as a miniature. But there we go, those are the 4 miniatures I made, and I'm very, very happy with them. I now need to get them painted, and I'm probably not going to do videos of how I painted them because these miniatures are personal miniatures, they are bespoke, so any painting guide isn't going to be very useful for anybody else. But I will do a follow-up video where I show them completely painted so you can see what they look like once they are ready for the tabletop. But until then, that's it. Thank you once again to Eldritch Foundry for reaching out to me and for giving me an opportunity to create these fantastic miniatures. As I mentioned before, if anybody else would like to go and check out what Eldritch Foundry do, the link to their website is in the video description. You can go on over and create a character without having to actually buy it. You can just play around with the system and see what you can do with it. But then, of course, if you do come up with something wonderful, you can just press the order button and have your very own bespoke character for whatever game you play. But that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you've really enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.